بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. So today we are going to speak about riba, which is interest. First of all, we'll speak about the meaning of riba. Riba, linguistic meaning is ziyada or increase. And in Islam, in the Sharia, it is the increase of specific things. Not everything, only specific things. Imam Abu Hanifa defined riba as an extra money without a replacement, while exchanging a money with a money. An extra money without replacement. What do we mean by replacement? It's not a pay for a work or something extra. You're exchanging money with money. There was no work involved and an extra money came. Riba in Quran and Sunnah and Ijma' is haram. Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَى, and Allah made halal trading, selling, and made haram riba. And there is no sin that was mentioned in the Quran that the punishment for it is a war that Allah will raise against it or against its person except riba. So the only thing that Allah Azza wa Jal said, فَأْذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ, so be aware of a war from Allah and His Messenger, it's only the riba or the interest. When was riba made haram? What do you think? Do you know? It was made haram on the 8th or 9th year of the Hijrah. So towards the end of the life of the Prophet ﷺ. What does that mean? Meaning that it seems like it was an essential part of the community. And so on the way that Islam dealt with all the matters, Islam dealt with the riba as well.
So it was like haram in Ahle Kitab, like Jews and Christians. It was also haram for them as well.
It was haram for them as well. Yeah. In the Sunnah, the Prophet ﷺ said, اجتنبوا السبع الموبقات, avoid the 7 grave sins, and mentioned from it eating riba. Ibn Mas'ud narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah cursed the one who eat the riba, the one who feed the riba, the one who witnessed the riba, and the one who write the riba. So there are 4 people who are cursed. So with that, if we look at the situation, of whoever involves in anything related in riba is cursed. Ibn Majah, in an authentic hadith narrated from the Prophet ﷺ, on the authority of Ibn Mas'ud, that the Prophet ﷺ said, riba is 73 doors. The lowest or the easiest of it, it's like the person marrying his mother. And the most riba of the riba is the honor of the Muslim man. To play with the honor, to increase, decrease, all of this, even the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that this is from the riba. The riba, it's the ijma' of the ummah that the riba is haram. Imam al-Mawardi said, riba hasn't been permissible in any sharia at all. So not Christianity, not Judaism, not any sharia. And how did they know that? Allah said in the Quran, وَأَخْذِهِمُ الرِّبَا وَقَدْ نُهُوا عَنْهُ. So they used to eat riba although they were prohibited from. So that's an evidence that riba was prohibited even for the nations before Islam. Riba that is haram in Islam is two types. First one is called riba al-nasi'ah, which the Bedouins, the Arabs before Islam, they used to know this one only, which is to delay payment to another date by increasing the price or increasing the money. And the second one is called riba of selling or buying. And this is in 6 specific materials or types, which is gold, silver, wheat, barley, salt, date. So 6. And this is called riba al-fadl. Fadl is extra. Nasi, as we are going to speak about, is delay. The first riba, which is nasi, is called riba al-jahiliyah, the riba of the ignorance time, which is pre-Islam. The second was approved or confirmed that it is haram in Sunnah and in Qiyas, because it has an extra without a replacement. And this is always the case, which is there is an extra and there is no reason for that extra. If there is a reason of work, anything, then that's fine. So the riba is 2 types. As we said, riba al-fadl and riba al-nasi'ah. Riba al-fadl, which is selling, which is an increase in the object in a transaction of sale more than the weight. So riba al-fard is an increase in the weight. When the 2 things that are exchanged are the same. Okay? So 2 things are exchanged, they are the same. Increase in the weight is called riba al-fadl. Okay?
Even if the quality differs?
That's the point. Like for example, the 6, do you remember the 6? Gold, silver, wheat, barley, salt and date. So you are exchanging salt with salt. There are 2 types of salt. I bought salt. Can I please replace it with another type of salt? You are exchanging salt with salt. You bought one salt, came back, no, I need to replace it with a different salt. It needs to be the same weight and exchanging. But you look at the situation now. The salts are not the same price. They are different class. The wheat, you took one, Oh no, I want to swap it with a different one. Be careful what to do. Because if you swap it, 1 kilogram of flour with 1 kilogram of different type of flour, these are two types. You want to come and swap them. It's 1 kilo by 1 kilo. One of them has extra. You can't. It needs to be the same. So what to do? You can't. If you pay the difference, that's the riba.
No, if first, for example, I've got gold, 18 karat, and I want to buy 24 karat. So
It's gold.
yes,
It's gold.
but it's different.
It's gold.
Mhm.
That's the problem. It's gold.
I have to sell it first.
Sell it first.
Alright.
It's like the flour. Return it back. Get your money. And then buy the second one. Do not exchange one with one. If you remember in the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, an amount with an amount, a hand with a hand. This is where things get tricky. Especially if you are buying using a credit card. Which is haram from the beginning, but if you are buying using a credit card, the money doesn't go outside from your account straight away to buy the flour, to buy the salt, to buy to buy any of these, or to buy gold, or to buy silver. And that's where this is not allowed. There is no riba in the animals, in the mattresses, in the carpets. I have a carpet. I want to swap it with another carpet. But this is different than this. I want on top of it money. I'm swapping a car with a car. That car worth 2,000. That car worth 10,000. I got an extra 8,000. Is there a riba in that? No. So the riba is only in how many? This is called riba what? Fadl. Is only on 6 types. So the gold, silver, wheat, barley, salt, date. Alright? Can I exchange an egg with 2 eggs? We both agree. I want to give you an egg and you give me 2 eggs. Can I? Or this is riba? You can. It's not riba because riba is only in 6 types. Riba al-fadl is only 6 types. So the only condition with that exchange is that they need to exchange in the same spots, same time. None of them needs to be delayed. Give me 1 egg now, I will give you 2 eggs tomorrow. Nope. Give me 1 egg now, get 2 eggs now. Okay, that's not riba. Give me 1 egg now, I will give you 2 eggs tomorrow. That's riba nasi'ah. So that's the second type of riba, which is the delayed riba.
What about if you give me 1 egg and I'll give you 1 egg today and 1 egg tomorrow?
That's nasi'ah. That's delayed. So nasi'ah is different, and we are going to come to it. So the riba al-fadl is an extra when exchanging 2 from the 6 types of materials that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned. Riba al-nasi'ah, it's an extra that will be paid when the time of payment comes. And an extra when the 2 materials are different when there is a delay. So, someone exchange an egg with an egg and say, I will give you an extra egg if you give me that egg and take them after 2 days. So that's riba nasi'ah. Like selling 1 kilogram of date with 2 kilograms to be paid to you in 1 week. That's riba nasi'ah. Now, do people apply this in nowadays?
They apply with money. But so then what's the difference between deposit and what you're saying?
What do you mean?
So let's say, for example, I'm enrolling in something, or I'm buying something, but I can pay either over time, or I don't have the money now, but I've got the deposit. So I pay a deposit, I own the thing, and then over time I pay.
These are two different objects. This is money and a car. We are speaking about an egg with an egg, which is outside the 6. So we are exchanging similar things with a delay. So this is what we are speaking about. For example, selling an apple with 2 apples, but giving you the 2 apples in some time. The reason why it is haram, because nobody will accept to be paid after some time unless he will have something extra from the same material, which is an apple or an egg or anything.
Can you also pay an installment?
You can pay, but you are paying money in exchange of an object, which is fine. So you can pay it over installments, and that might be different than the price of the cash. That's fine. So long as the agreed amount over the installments does not change, even if you did not fulfill your payment.
I have a question. How about like this company that they call, I think it's called Haram?
Yeah. One of the guys was telling me about it, that for example, he was working in things related to renovation. And anyone who wants to renovate his house, wants to, for example, put solar panels, want to do whatever, the company will say to him, we'll do it for you in installments. Through Ham. Not through themselves, but through Ham. What is this Ham? This is a company where the contract will become between the customer and Ham. But the company that is installing the solar panels go to Ham and take their money. And then the relationship becomes between Ham and the customer. And so the situation is very, very sensitive. Why? Because you are taking the solar panels from whom? The other company. And you are paying who? Ham. So the guy, the marketing person came to me and he started just asking me, because he's working in the company and he is selling everything through Ham. Everyone pretty much is buying through Ham. He said, is it halal for me? My job is halal or not halal? So I said, let's look at the contract of Ham. And what does it say? He said to me, whatever we agree upon of a price for that, let's say it doesn't change. Negotiation, the price is $2,000, the price stays $2,000. The only thing that's instead of them paying to us, they pay to Ham.
We have to pay registration fees as well.
You need to register with Ham first. So I went into that, and I really went deeply into the contract. It says that Ham does not increase anything on you. And even if you are in fault, I went into deep and I spoke to the company actually, the representative of the company, and started reading that contract. So I got the contract of Ham and started reading the contract and seeing what will happen if there was a delay in the payment. So I reached with them, we will send them a reminder to pay. And then we will charge them $15. I said, fine, we can accept that $15 because it's administration fee. People who picked the phone and spoke to you, or that's their time, so they are charging you that administration fee. I said to them, what if they do not? He said, we will send them 2 reminders. With each reminder there's $15. I said, fine. What if they did not pay? Said, they will go to debt collectors and they will start charging them as well. I said, what if they did not pay? I want to reach to the end of it. Will there be an interest? At the end of the day, he said, yes, there will be an interest. So the contract at the end has that clause of interest. And that's where I wanted to reach. So that contract has an interest clause in it. So this is where we are. For Ham, I do not see it as halal.
We have similar, which is Zip as well, I think.
Yeah, there are lots of companies. They are all financial companies. Imam al-Shafi'i identified 3 types of riba for selling. He called riba al-fadl. It's to increase or to sell things with the same type with an increase if it is being the same type, like the wheat, gold with the gold. The second type is called riba al-yad. It's the riba of the hand. It's selling with a delay of getting the product without mentioning the time. Like selling the wheat with the barley without taking the actual wheat or barley in the same spot. And it is in a way, by delaying it, and it is in a way goes into the nasi'ah, not into the fadl. And then the last one, which is riba al-nasi'ah, which is selling for a time for increase in the price or in the money. So in summary, riba al-nasi'ah is delaying of the debt in exchange of an increase. And this is called riba al-jahiliyyah.
One question. What if you wanted to buy a house, for example, and you borrowed money from your friend, and so the house is his because you used his money, and he charges you rent, for example, $100 a week, and on top of the $100 a week, he says you have to pay me another $100 so you can get the house from me. So he pays him rent, $100, and on top of that $100, another $100 to make up the price of the house so he can grab ownership of the house, the guy who originally borrowed money from his friend. Is that haram?
If it is an actual rent for using the house which belongs to him until you buy the house, then that's money for rent. So there's no harm with that.
So Obaydah, the home loans or the mortgage falls under Riba Nasiya.
Riba Nasiya. Correct.
But what if the amount is settled? Let's say, for example, if you're going to pay this loan over 30 years with an interest or with a 5% increase, you calculate it, you know at the end of that 30 years you're going to pay the houses, let's say $300,000, $500,000. You're going to pay the 500 plus 400,000 extra at the end of that 30 years.
Okay.
It still falls under Riba Nasiya, even though
So-
you know the amount and the amount hasn't changed?
So the amount will not change, correct?
Yes.
As if you are buying the house for 900,000 over 30 years. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's fine. So long as, first of all, it's a murabaha. And we mentioned about the murabaha and the conditions of murabaha, meaning that there is ownership for the one who is selling you, and then he passes it to you, and you pay over installments for 30 years in $900,000. That's fine. There is no increase in the price. There is no penalties for delay, and all of these. And if it is higher purchase, there are other conditions as well that need to apply. That type is fine, which is selling something for a period of time with a different price than the price of the cash. That's fine. That's not riba. Okay? Why? Because there is a difference between the two. So you are exchanging money with a house, money with a car over a period of time. But that doesn't mean that buying houses from the commercial banks is halal.
Because they don't own the house.
Because they don't own the house, they don't care what you do with the money. You say, I want to have a loan to buy a house. They will give you a loan to buy the house, but it's only a loan. So the relationship between you and the commercial bank is just riba nasiya, purely riba nasiya. There is nothing other apart. There is no object in the middle. The house is not in the middle.
So how in Islam do the people who owe money to someone get their money back?
How?
So how in Islam, if I have a if I've got a company and I'm lending people money, but in the Islamic way, how do I make sure to get the money if I cannot charge them for delay? So if they're set to pay monthly to pay their loan back, but this month they didn't pay.
That's a good one. That's a good one. What do you think? How can we? Like supposedly we will have inshallah we'll have an Islamic finance company which deals 100% with halal transactions. That Islamic finance company is going to buy houses and say there is a house for sale. That house, the market price is 500,000. Now we are selling it for 800,000 over 20 years. Fixed price. There is no delay in no extra penalties for delay. Nothing's going to be on top. Purely. Okay? Now what's going to happen with that company if someone does not pay his installments? So they can put administration fees. They can. $100 every time one of the employees is going to chase up the payment. Yes. But usually these companies or these financial institutes around the world, they put guarantors. And they put restrictions on the selling of the houses. Those guarantors around the world, they use them as really to pay if the first person who bought the house was not able to pay. So the guarantors will sign a document to state, I'm happy for the money to be taken out from my wages, because that guarantor usually, they pick two guarantors with wages that are going to the bank, and they put a condition that these guarantors will sign that if was not taken, he did not have money, you can take from my account. And if there is now in the first one account, there is a second one. So they take two guarantors. And on top of all of that, they keep the house until it's all been paid. Then they transfer the ownership. Or they transfer the ownership, but keep a hand on the house, that they have the authority to sell the house if that person failed to pay after some measures and some.
Do they terminate the whole contract and say, you now have to leave the house is back to us, and all the money?
All of that, it depends on the type of financial company, and they will put measures after 6 months, after 1 year of not being able to pay. Then we are sorry, we have to take the house back and we have to sell it in the market, and then we'll give you back your money and we'll take the rest.
So money will be given back
Yeah.
at the end of
Yeah.
But then why is it haram to put charge on delay? I feel like in a common sense method, it makes it easier for the person who's giving out money to get his money, rather than this whole process. Like, what's the hikmah? What's the reason behind this isn't haram and this way is halal?
To take money percentage over the delay in payment, that's nasi'ah. That's like riba nasi'ah, isn't it? It's absolutely riba nasi'ah. Because
Charge administrative fee if he defaults, and each time you give him reminder, you charge, but not that for percentages.
Ibn Kathir mentioned that there are some sellings that are haram. It's like muzabana. It's exchanging the dates in the palm trees with the dates in the ground. So I'm giving him this date. I will give you this date, which I have in my hand, and you give me that date, which is still on the palm tree. Why is it haram? You don't. It's not just not hand by hand. That's one, but the second one, you don't know the weight of that one. It's because these are two similar things. You don't know whether they are going to be similar in the weight. Like someone is saying, I have wheat in my crop. Can you give me this amount and take that piece of land wheat? It's not the same. So there is ambiguity in regards to how much is going to, or how the weight of it. So the scholars agreed that riba al-fadl is for 6, and they added 1, which is 7 items, which is gold and silver, bur, sha'ir, tamir, which is wheat, barley, date, zabib, and milh. They add the zabib, raisin, and salt. It's haram to have extra when it's similar type. And they differed in whatever else. A group said the riba al-fadl only in these 7 items. And these are Zahiriyya, which is they take the apparent meaning of the hadith. Another group made haram anything that you put in the scale similar to it. So you put apples, green apples versus red apples. They say it's the same. And this is Imam Ahmad and Imam Abu Hanifa. Another group said it's only in the gold and silver and in food. And this is Imam Shafi'i. And Imam Shafi'i says the food that we mean is anything that you build your muscles or your flesh with, or you eat as a fruit, or you take as a medicine. And so look at Imam Shafi'i's criteria. What did he speak? Because he said that the Prophet ﷺ at that time, this was available there. The wheat, the barley, the date, the salt. So this is the food of the people. So Imam Shafi'i said, if this is the case, now the food of the people is different and wider. So Imam Shafi'i said then, with that case, the Riba al-Fadl now extends. The Zahariya, those who take the apparent, they take it only these, with the zabib, which is the raisin.
But if food was what Muhammad wanted, at the time there was meat as well. So why didn't the Prophet add meat? And then we would get, because meat, they would eat meat, even though if it wasn't that much, like now. But they would still
The camel meat, for example.
goat meat, camel meat, chickens, they had all these stuff, but it wasn't mentioned. So how would Imam Shafi'i say food? Because food is big stuff, and it wasn't these stuff they were just eating, they were eating other stuff.
Well, the meat was rare at their time, really rare. And we have the hadith that the Prophet ﷺ house, it will be the moon and the second moon, and there is no fire that started in the house of the Prophet ﷺ, meaning there is no cooking. So there will be just on the dates, the water, the barley, just taking it with the water, and that's all what they will be eating, with some salt to keep the salt of the body. So it seems like that was the environment at that time. And they will not be slaughtering an animal like a camel or anything except for some good reasons. You might have a point about the meat. You might have a point. But
I think one difference is one is spiritual and one is non-spiritual. You can store those stuff, but you cannot store meat.
so they will argue that, okay, you can dry the meat and you can store it for a year or two. So the argument is there, the evidence. Some of the scholars, they said that it needs to be storable. So you can store it from the food that you can store it. And that's why they said, oh, tomatoes, you can't store it. It's a week or two and it's done. So you cannot say that tomatoes versus tomatoes is riba fadl. So that's how they started trying to apply that. So at the end of the day, it's all ijtihad. And so people, like for example, some people will say rice. Because rice nowadays is the food of the people. So you cannot exchange rice with a different type of rice. 5 kilograms by 5 kilograms of rice, and they are rice, except if they are exactly the same weight. But if there is a difference money, they consider that riba. So imagine riba in rice. But this is ijtihad. What is the wisdom of making it haram? Is to remove ghubun from people. Ghubun is like cheating or oppression. And not to harm them. So people can think that in one of these two items there is an extra benefit than the other. I told you that at some stages, for example, they used to sell the 10 riyals with 9 riyals because of the phone machine. Okay, so we stop here, inshallah. And from next time, inshallah, we will start with the types of transactions. So we spoke about murabaha, we spoke about hire to purchase. We'll speak about the other types, like musana'a, like muzara'a. There is around 50 something types of transactions or companies in Islam. So we'll take them one after the other, inshallah, and go into details with these. Anyone has any question about riba?
How many more weeks do we have to finish this course? That's my question.
Inshallah, we'll finish it. Allahu A'lam. We'll try our best to finish it fast, but definitely, inshallah, we'll try not more than the end of this month, inshallah. Finish it by the end of.
I had a question. It might sound.
Not the end of this month. By the end of this month, inshallah.
It might sound silly, but it was something that happened to us when we went out to buy food. So you said that there was wheat. So my brother, he ordered the wrong order, and then they came with the euros.
With the
Euros. So it
euros.
was bread in it. But then my sisters, they wanted AB. So what we did, we returned it, we paid the extra on top, and then we got the AB. So is that type of riba or not?
No. No.
Because it has bread in it and we change it.
No.
What about
That's a meal. Yes.
you know how we were talking about the houses when you buy and you can pay an installment if there's no interest and there's no extra money at the end and you agree on a final price. What about if the value of your money goes down and you have to pay extra? For example, the house is like $100,000, and then your money, $1 million, is worth $100,000. Would you have to pay extra to match the value of the house?
This is a too complicated question, and we mentioned about examples. Remember, there was a Lebanese guy who was given 50,000 Lebanese lira when the Lebanese lira was strong, and someone saved the 50,000 and gave it to him, and went for 19 years or 18 years in America, and then after 18 years came back, and the 50,000, they're worth $200. So the guy said to him, "Give me back my money." He said, "Here is 50,000 lira, which is $200. He said to him, "Fear Allah, what do you mean? I gave you 50,000 lira when they were costing like they're worth $50,000. And so said to him, "If I give you more, that's riba."
Is that actually riba?
So the scholar said to the person who took the money, he said, "What did you do with the $50,000? He said, "I bought a car, a house, and a factory." He said, "Return them back to him. That's fine." He said, No. He said, "So what do you mean? Give him a car, give him something." "No, it's too expensive." Then they agreed to pay back around the same value of the money at that time.
So it's halal.
Which is because it's we cannot say it's halal flat. Case by case needs to be studied. Okay. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.